Hey, what's up, online community? And thanks for stopping by and checking out another segment of Straight No Chaser, where we talk sports and culture for fans, oftentimes with the fans. Now, the last couple of weeks, we've been really gaining some really good momentum because we're seeing a shift in a number of different things as it relates to social issues taking place across the country. And why not continue to have that conversation, have that dialogue? And joining me today is none other than Joshua Short. He's a member of the media. He is an anchor, a news anchor, a reporter. He's got roots here in the Chicagoland area, but now he works in Northwest Indiana. So, Straight No Chaser audience, I'd like to present to you Joshua Short. And also, I have to admit, I'm a little bit biased because Joshua was a family member, and I've seen this young man grow and evolve, both as an individual, but also a member of the media. So, Joshua, welcome to Straight No Chaser.
Hey, and let's be transparent too. You're my older cousin, so it makes sense.
Facts.
We've been wanting to do this for a long time, haven't we?
For those fans out there that are familiar with Straight No Chaser, before we get into it, grab your favorite libation, shot, cocktail, coffee. We're about to get into a Straight No Chaser. Salud.
Salud. I can't tell you what's in this, by the way.
You know what? Those who tell don't know, and those who know better not tell.
So, well said. Well said.
Now let's see. I'm going through some of the questions from last week that were posed.
Yeah.
You're talking about Confederate. Oh, one of the things I want to touch base on, and that is, we talked about some of the things that are happening. I feel like we're in the middle of a civil rights movement. It's more than protest.
Yeah.
Kneeling. We're getting back to sports now. Sports are starting to open up. We've got baseball that started. We've got basketball that just started tonight with their regular season resuming. Football is on the horizon. We're still unsure about college and high school. One of the things that we're seeing is the support of social issues, in particular Black Lives Matters, acknowledging individuals that have been lost through police excessive force and police brutality. Yeah. One of the things that we're starting to see with sports opening up is kneeling. Now, I know there's been a conversation around kneeling, and people have opinions one way or the other. Coach Mike Ditka, former coach of the Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka, made some comments earlier.
I need another drink for this one. I need another drink for this one.
Okay. All right. And again, share what you can where you're able to. Okay. Your thoughts on the information on Coach Ditka's statement. For those who don't know, and he said this time and again, this is not the first time, but he's doubled down. As a matter of fact, he's placed his bets and he's all in. And that is people that are kneeling against the flag or kneeling when the national anthem is played and the flag is displayed, they should leave the country. Now, there's a couple things with that. First off, leave the country is kind of like a dog whistle term that feels and has a certain racial connotation to it. The second thing, at least for me, is this is 3 years now. And I don't have the conversation with individuals any longer about kneeling, what kneeling for the flag represents. Either you understand, it's been 3 years, 3.5 years. Either you understand it or you don't understand it. Either you want to understand it or you don't want to understand it. I'm not trying to sway anyone. I'm not interested in your feelings. I'm not here to sway your thoughts, your opinions one way or the other. But when you hear things like that, what are some of the things that go through your mind? And as a reporter, how do you feel, how do you report that as a reporter? And what are some of the things that go through your mind?
It's a great question. I mean, I've never been asked it, so it's a great question. But first off, the first time I heard the statement was, I believe it was Monday, Tuesday, during the morning show. And we have, I get in at 3 and I'm reading all the stories and I'll change some things around and make it fit my voice. And I'm typing things up and I'm looking at what's happening here and listening to scanners and all this other stuff. And I help out our producers as well who create a great show. That story either wasn't written or I saw the slug, as they call it, or the title of the story in the boxes that we click to open and read. It said Mike Ditka. So I'm like, oh, he must be commenting on the reopening of the NFL. He must be commenting on baseball. And I'm like, oh, he might be commenting on something else. But I'm like, whatever it is, it's going to be powerful, whatever it is. I'm like, okay. I didn't hear anything else. I didn't read the story. So I get on the air, and I think it was right before I read it, I saw the intro come up on my iPad. I read the intro, and I said, Mike Ditka is at it again with another comment. And I said, oh, what is this comment? And then literally, as I'm switching to read the other part of the script, Trisha, my co-anchor, is ending her script. So that means I got to look up. So I'm not read any of the story. I'm just about to read it cold, as they say on the air. And I'm reading it, and I literally say on the air, and I'm reading it right here. I said, prominent sports legend Mike Ditka on social media says, quote, get the hell out of the country if you do not want to respect our flag or the anthem. So on the air, you can't be biased, nor can you show any degree of bias, else you will be lambasted till the cows come home. But I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I continue reading. And I'm sitting there fidgeting because I'm like, he says this, and then he said something about it before and apologized for it. And now, not only did he say it this time, he's doubling down on it, talking to Trump Jr. about it and everything else. You, being from Chicago, you and I, right? You know Mike Ditka and the history of the team and the Bears, the 85 Bears, and what they did for the city, culturally, how they changed the league and the perception of it and the players themselves. And then you hear something like this, and it just makes you say, why do I even like anything that he liked? Why do I stand for anything that, I thought he stood for? When you say something like this that's so incendiary, and it, like you said, is a microaggression, because there are things that are implicitly in that statement that's for people who may have a certain opinion. On the air itself, you have to maintain your cool, because this man is is saying something that means the very disdain and threatening of your existence, someone who looks like me.
Yeah.
It's the toughest thing, and that's how I respond. You got to respond evenly and unbiased, but it is tough because you know that now your human rights are being compromised by a statement from someone with so much power and influence.
And I think you hit it on your head. Your human rights are being compromised or can be in jeopardy based off of this, because now that, again, we go back to what I said at the beginning, information over affirmation. He's affirmed in individuals. See, even Coach Ditka feels XYZ or says XYZ. And that's the danger of not understanding or not having empathy. And I think that's one of the key things, not having empathy. Let me say this to our people out there, and I'm going to put it out there. Our uncle's wife grew up with Coach Ditka. And I would just say this, based off the stories that she would tell us, I am not surprised one bit that this came out. I will just leave it at that.
Wow.
Alquippa, Pennsylvania. I will tell you this, I am not surprised that came out based off the stories that she would share with us. When she came to Chicago and we were talking about the Bears, this and Ditka that, and she had the way she had those glasses, she turned around and she was only about 5'2". Don't get us started on Mike Ditka, but I am not surprised. I will just leave it at that.
And you mentioned kind of to put a bow, if you really can't put a bow on this thing, is about how you got people who use puppets to justify, Joe Biden said this about black people, and yet you guys are still voting for him. Did you hear what he said here? And it's like, well, he said 3 or 4 things that makes you go, 5 or 6 things that make you go, what? But then did you know there's somebody else on the other side that said 80,000 things that don't make you go, because he's confirmed and doubled down on that? Yeah. People like to use puppets all the time. Mike Ditka. Well, you're like Mike Ditka and Sweetness and all those other guys who brought you guys a title. So you got to agree with him. He's right. You nailed it. That's exactly what people are going to do. He said it. Why can't I?